one of the most noted artists in Oklahoma. It's a John Wolfe, and I have always loved his work, always loved him as a person, and he's pretty much a fixture at 1515 Lincoln Gallery. As a matter of fact, he's exhibiting work right now. But I also like John because he's just a very, very, very witty person, and he's a blast to talk to. And, John, if I know you've probably heard us talking about coffee cup conversations, but basically it's the art of conversation, and sometimes we meander,
Really?
which is which is fine. I mean, we've talked about everything from, the three-eye atlas thing that's floating around out in space to, to AI dating. I mean, it's the conversation just goes wherever it goes, and, right now, when we first got here, we're talking about sinuses.
And not being able to breathe.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for those that don't know you, so let's talk a little bit about what you're primarily known for and, your show at 1515 Lincoln Gallery. I've seen your work at other galleries too.
Yeah.
So tell people a little bit about, well, first your sculptures, because and then I want to talk about your paintings, and then I just want to shoot the shit.
Sounds good. I've got that part down well. Oh, the sculpture is something that I've always done. In fact, I just finished 3 small pieces,
Yeah.
uh, actually yesterday. They're, assemblage things. Um, a lot of times I'll have well, I still have boxes of things that I picked up, thought were interesting, and then I'll start to kind of, putter and piddle them. I had made several ceramic heads, small, and they didn't get used. There was a box of those, and there was a box. So I just started playing until I got something that I thought was kind of interesting when there's no rhyme or reason. It just
I've always wondered
spontaneous happens.
I've always wondered where the imagery comes from. I mean, first, I've noticed that you're a hell of a crafter as far as, when I look at your work, I don't see the the remnants of how you did what you did. Do you know what I mean? It's like it feels everything feels natural, even if you're talking about a base which was clearly cut. It all feels cohesively natural.
Well, I'm very picky about the way things look.
Yeah.
They can be very simple, almost primitive in the final look, but the finishes thank you, have to be a certain way. Um, I was talking with someone not long ago about some sculpture I've seen, wood sculpture that were kind of nice. I liked it, but as I looked, there were places on the surface that looked unfinished.
Yeah.
Not that everything has to be finished, but I think there needs to be a kind of either one way or another. If it's going to be rustic, just use an axe and chop it. And that's the intended surface you want. Or if it's supposed to be smooth, make really sure that it's smooth.
There's an art form to imperfection, and I guess yeah, it's hard to I guess when you're a new artist and you don't necessarily know the material, it's the difference between looking finished and unfinished.
Well, I always, when I'm working on these things, and some of the ones I worked on this morning, particularly what you looking at that one with the box
Yeah.
and the boxes, that one, and I guess the one I worked on today was made out of a chunk of crepe myrtle wood.
Yeah.
And, I'll cut it, I'll sand it, and I'll start to finish. But I always have to touch the surface to make sure I can't find any imperfections. It needs to be as smooth as I can make it. And I always do it I don't always follow through as much as I should, but the majority of the time you won't find any little funny imperfection things. It's just I just want it to be there, and not really cause a lot of attention to itself, but it just needs to be, I hate to say perfect because there is no such thing, but closer to it than not.
Have you always worked in mixed media, or did you start out doing, like, were you just dedicated to one clay, for this stretch and then wood for this stretch?
Um, Probably always kind of mixed media things.
How long have you been doing it?
Well, probably 65 years or so, give or take. Yeah.
Lifelong artist. Well, I've been striving for, I can't say I can ever have the craftsmanship that you do. My mind just doesn't work for that. But I've got an incredible appreciation for people that can do that. I look at you, I look at Paul. There's several artists. Don Narcomi, I remember, Don. I remember a long time ago, there was this show at IAO, and I can't remember the name of it, but Paul brought his pieces in, I brought my pieces in, and then we saw this, Don's piece, and it was mixed media. There was wood, there were metal elements, and it was laying in either, some kind of soil or some kind of sand or something that he had done, and we both kinda looked at each other. I don't know if Paul remembers this, but we were like, "Do you see it?" "Yep." That's the winner." "Yep." And we both knew. So there's enough to be said about craftsmanship, but I noticed in a lot of contemporary art, the crafter has become less valued as in the how do you personally feel about it? I mean, I don't like it.
I don't like it at all. I like to see something like this. Great concept, interesting piece, but it needs work.
Yeah.
They're just little tiny things. George and I, help hang at the PAA all the time.
Yeah.
Well, all the time, once a month. And it's interesting with a lot of the newer people. They're, they should know, but they don't always know about having the piece ready to go when it goes together. Should be framed or proper information, everything. And not consistently, but periodically, there's somebody bringing a painting. Then they do the little wooden lattice outside, and it totally ruins the overall effect because it's just kind of like, oh, I've got this board here, we're gonna pound it on, and it ruins the whole thing. If I'd spent another 15, 20 minutes doing it neatly, it would have, done the trick of putting a little frame around it. Not to me, it was very distracting. I saw that before almost I saw the painting.
Wow. You know, um, and there's crafters in different arts. Do you know who Robert Eggers is, filmmaker?
Yeah, that's it.
So I went and I saw Nosferatu. Right. I mean, are you guys drinking anything? I'm just having pop. You can copy.
Tea.
See,
Yeah, and light on the leaves, the guy said.
they'll get you some water. Yep. Yeah. Do you want water too?
Nah.
Okay. Well, I saw Nosferatu, and Eggers was wanting to do this. He's also doing a werewolf movie, and Eggers is known for his craftsmanship as far as making authentic environments. And I was, the audience that was there, they, they watched it, they liked it, but most of the talk was about, I guess, Count Orlok, who's supposed to be Dracula, his mustache. That was just because they were like, it's too thick. I don't understand why but he was so authentic with what he was doing. Most of the Romanian nobles, they had these thick mustaches and, no beards. They just had these thick mustaches. He was so authentic with it. But at the end of the film, and I'm probably the only person that's going to sit there and watch the credits and see who was making what. Everything was made by Romanian artisans.
Okay.
the entire set was so meticulously crafted. And I think what disappointed me about not about the film, but about the audience is that they could care less. They left wondering about the mustache. They left, well, it wasn't as scary as I thought it was gonna be. The art form of making film wasn't as widely appreciated, and I'm seeing that across, all the categories. I've got a chip on my shoulder with conceptual art right now, but that's a whole totally different topic. Um, you also paint.
Yes.
Your paintings are these they're not even post-apocalyptic, they feel abandoned. They feel either abandoned or like they exist despite not having human beings. Is there a reason that none of your paintings and I mean, they're landscapes as far as
Yeah.
landscapes and structures, is there a reason why there's no people?
Well, I've had several people comment about that.
They're beautiful, don't get me
They
wrong.
say they're no people, they're empty, and desolate isolation things. I look at it as quiet, simply quiet. And when I look at buildings, paintings of or the real things, I kind of imagine what happened there.
Yeah.
So the people are there, you just may not see them.
Well, it's interesting. I remember when COVID broke and they shut everything down, I I ventured out. There was some tax stuff I had to do, and, I was trying to see what was open, and when I look at your paintings, I think of that time because there was nobody out, and the city was quiet,
Yeah.
you know? I don't recall I really don't recall hearing any of the city sounds, even in the distance, where you hear the cars honking and stuff like that. So that experience took me back to how your artwork made me feel. So there was a quiet beauty to it, but it made me feel like I needed to look around and take a second take. Is it, not that anything was wrong, but I'm like, do people actually even belong in these paintings?
They're there. Actually, a couple of them, there are people. Uh, it may just might be a reflection of, and maybe just a tiny bit of a person.
Yeah.
But not often. I didn't want it to become portrait things.
The surrealist, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Is it Deshikaro?
I never know how to pronounce that. I know
I
you're
can't.
talking about.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it. But there was a painting where you see it's called The Mystery and Melancholy of Something. I can't remember the full title of it. You see either the leg of this girl or the shadow going by the painting.
Right.
So you never get the full impression of the person that's there, but you get a
But you know she's there.
you know that she's there. Thank you so much.
You're welcome with that.
And everybody who's listening, I always have to plug our chef at 1515 Bistro, Zach Williams. He is feeding us today, and I am having my usual cup of coffee. And John has settled into some tea and the grilled cheese, which I highly recommend. Um, I've had the grilled cheese before I went carnivore, but there's always something for everybody who has an appetite. So be sure to drop by 1515 Bistro located at 1515 Lincoln Gallery. I just want to let everybody know about that. Um, you're making a lot of art in a very trying climate socially right now. And I asked Paul the same question. It was has any of this either altered the way that you make work? Does it, or do you just batten down the hatches and you're like, the world is crazy right now. I'm not, I just can't do it.
Oh, when I'm in the studio, I'm totally oblivious to what's going on. I go in that little space, um, and that's where I reside
Yeah.
for an hour or 6 hours or whatever. So what's happening out there, it's not that it's insignificant, but I'm not tuned into that at all.
Yeah.
And that's kind of helped with how I deal with all of this.
Do you think like right now people need, and you can't exist in escapism. eh, And that's not necessarily to say that's what people are doing, but there's so much floating around. I saw, what did I see? I think I saw two political figures fighting, and one of them choke slammed the other one. It's- Well, it was AI.
Oh, okay.
So everything is so, you don't really know what's real. You don't know what's fact. And after a while, you do have to just kind of trust your eyes and ears. And I find myself as an artist escaping into being an artist. I was doing the whole minimalist thing as far as my interior design. That's all gone. I am surrounding myself with things that make sense. So it's now books by artists that I love. I'm surrounding myself with the things that seem cohesive to me because I there's no control outside of here. We're just kind of, we have to sit and wait.
Yeah. I promised myself 3 or 4 years ago that I wouldn't buy any more art. That was a lie. I keep buying things, but it's that environment that you create for yourself. It has to be comfortable and interesting. Uh, I'm really interested in architecture. I go to occasional architectural tours, and a friend of mine and I, Bonnie, went with me to a couple of new builds,
Yeah.
the white boxes, and it was I don't know, not really disturbing, but just boring as hell. Empty, with the exception of maybe one specific painting placed, in a prime spot, and then nothing else as far as artwork in the whole period.
Wow.
And it was like, this is just borderline creepy. It's terrible.
I used to hang art like that. Now it's in the studio, which I'm hoping the 15th we get a couple of people out. I'm hanging everything kind of haphazardly. So it feels good. It's very salon style. So they're just put up there, and it's kind of an assault on the senses, but I like it.
My old house is pretty much salon floor to ceiling.
Mhm.
I've just about run out of space. I did buy a new piece 3 or 4 months ago. It took about 2 days to shift things up, down, over, and create a new space.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see all those pieces every day. I walk by them, of course, but occasionally, either for whatever reason, I'll stop and go, "Oh yeah, I got this at this place at this time." Knew the artist, didn't know the artist, met the artist later, um, and it just, I don't know, it makes me happy because I don't buy anything uh, because maybe it's a good investment. That never crosses my mind. I have to have some kind of response to it.
I had some friends come in, and I've got to upload that. Abby and Andrew, which they're hilarious. I mean, all together. And Abby doesn't hold back when she looks at something and has an opinion of it. But I think Andrew was in awe of just the gallery.
Oh yeah.
They'd never been to a gallery. They were on their way to a Taylor Swift movie. I didn't know Taylor Swift had a movie out. I'm not a big Taylor Swift person, but to each their own. But I think they might have thought there was some riddle to understanding collecting or appreciating art. I think that people who collect for investments because of that, you've heard about the art market
Mhm.
downhill right now. I think they're going to get back to collecting what they want. And I told them that's the best thing that you can do.
Absolutely.
You know, your eye is just as good as anybody else's eye.
Uh, Never totally understood the concept of hiring an interior designer.
Yeah.
Because I have a good friend that is one. She's one for years, and she referred to most of them as inferior desecrators. But yeah, you got to do what makes you comfortable, what you choose to live with.
I think that that's what keeps galleries from being as full as they could be. There's this mystique, and I think sometimes it intimidates people to the point to where they feel like they don't belong here. And when I describe the average art show to people on my job, I said, you have everything from suits to guys in flip flops to nose rings. It's all there. It's the one place that all types come together.
Yeah.
You just have to be in the know that it's one of those places. So I think the way that Susan has it, it feels there's a couple of galleries that feel like a house. And I think those are the most approachable ones. Even though this is, it feels like a villa, it still feels like a house. Those cold white walls scare the crap out of people when there's nothing human around. So, but yeah, I tried to explain to them that there's no mystery, and they may come back one day.
I've sent a few people down, and they've always commented, the majority of them, that yeah, it's really an interesting place, very comfortable, and every one of them says it's very comfortable, which is important.
I think that should be the new model of a lot of galleries. See,
Get
may
away from the starkness.
get away from the starkness. I think minimalism is going out the door. I think aloofness is going out of the door. I went down to Paseo Sunset Gallery, and I've got a new appreciation of the shop style galleries. I grew up with Paseo, Sue and Winnie and everybody that was at Studio 6. And I always I loved the galleries, but to me they were more just studios. Now, it's it seems like open studios are the way to go for artists because there's none of the pretense or the perceived
Right.
pretense. And my way of looking at it is completely different. They were talking about as far as the art market, I think it was the the line that's being sold the most is $7,000, works that are priced at $7,000 and below. I could be wrong. It was either 7 or 2. I don't know why I'm thinking 7 or 2, but I recall hearing those numbers. But $7,000 and down as far as artworks that are increasing in sales, that lets you know that it's being picked up by a a class of people that at one time felt they didn't have access to it. And with all the, speculation and stuff like that with the art investments, it's only worth what a person will pay for it. I saw a piece that went for a million was now $180,000. So what happens to the investor at that point? If you bought it just for the investment, not for the love of it, where does that lead you?
It's something very expensive, locked in a vault, probably.
You ever been to Art Basel?
Well, on your ad.
Ever had an interest in it?
Eh, I really don't like large crowds.
Yeah.
So, and the older I get,
Less you like
the
'em?
less I like. So, that's one of those things I'd like to go through either before they open in the morning or after hours, and just leave me alone and we'll wander through.
Yeah. I think I think there's a lot of my friend went, Tiffany, and I have to ask her, or she have they had it already?
You know, seems like I saw something they did happen. I don't know.
My friend Tiffany McKnight, she, had posted that she somehow had gotten, I don't know if it was as an artist or something happened to where she was able to go, and I hadn't talked to her. I gotta get her over here too to ask her how Art Basel was. Um, I don't know. I've never had a desire to be a part of anything like that, and the older that I get, the more I become sorta like a hobbit. I'm becoming very insulated to where the large crowds and all of that, you get over the spectacle of it,
You know,
and then you turn into a professional artist, and you start looking at the crowd, and you're like, "How many red dots do I have?" And then you evolve into not caring about the red dots that you have, and you start asking yourself, "Do I like what I'm doing?" I think that's where I'm at personally.
yeah, that's kind of the way I feel. I had years ago. I haven't seen this person probably 20 something years. We went to school together,
Yeah.
undergrad, and he did pretty conservative landscape things. Nice, they were nicely done. And the last time I saw him was probably 20 something years ago. I said, "Well, hey, how are you doing? Uh, still painting?" And the reply was, "Yes." I thought, well, it didn't sound
One word.
very enthusiastic. I said, "So, what are you working on?" The same thing I've always done. And the reason was that every time he changed, because he had quite a few people that collected the work.
Yeah.
Every time I changed, they said, "Oh, we like y'all's not better." And he said, that's what I'm doing, but it's just a job."
Wow.
And I thought to myself, I'm never going to do that. Never, ever I do that. I want to do something that, you know,
Well, it's a job without guarantees, at that point, you know? So, I clock in 5 days a week at a job, love my coworkers, they put up with me talking about alien invasions and all kinds of stuff. But, I don't know that I would show up to it if I wasn't getting paid. Art is the only thing that I'm gonna show up to without getting necessarily a guarantee of pay. I think you have a job, I think you have a career, and I think you have a calling. Because when I wasn't in the game like that, I am so out of the game, I don't know who's who anymore as far as the, the youngsters that are running. I don't know how our art scene works now. I don't know that we have a scene. We used to have the usual suspects that would show up to all of the shows, but now that it's quiet and I can do what I want, I still have the compulsion to create. Even if I don't do anything, even if I wake up and it's a weekend and I lay in bed, I am constantly thinking about that.
well, exactly. It's never ending.
Why are we wired like that?
I have no clue. Because there's days, I'll walk into the studio and go, yeah, I need to do, I don't want to. And I walk out, but then I'll go in another part of the house and sit down and I'm thinking about what I was going to do when I was there.
Yeah.
What, well, maybe if I did, no, I need to approach it this way. So the physical part of doing doesn't always take up very much of my time, but
Yeah.
the thinking and planning takes up a lot of my time, way too much of my time.
I didn't want you to have to work upstairs. He's trying to. Hey, Mark. You know. Hey, Mick. How are you?
You are a gentleman and a scholar, sir. We're going to do, I'm going to do a gallery tour for the dosage for John in a week.
Mark. Oh, that's they delivered my groceries. I don't even leave the house to get groceries.
Oh, yeah, good idea. Oh, I shop at a Walmart in Choctaw, and between the people that are shopping for you, the guys in the big vacuum things,
Yeah,
it's intimidating. Some days, I know that one of them or two of them are got to be after me because I have to run me over. It's pretty funny.
yeah. You know, you have a and several of you do. I'm the next group under you guys. And I tell people, they say, Nate, you're still a young artist. I'm like, no, I'm just the youngest of the older artists. I think when you get comfortable, because I see this in you, there's a swagger to where I'm just saying, there's this swagger to where you look like the guy that I think young artists they they idealize and they want to be, but they don't. We're sitting here sipping coffee. We're sitting here enjoying lunch, beautiful landscape, and all of this, but we're kind of over that. And you're over it. And there's this air about you that says, I've been there, I've done that, but you're not cocky about anything. And you're probably one of the best artists anywhere that I've seen. Early on, we all want to change the world as artists. We think, we want to be the Billy Badass of art. We want to be the poster child for work. And I think we settle into being an artist. And I feel like you've settled in, as an artist. And you've gotten comfortable not in making, but in being, which is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, I do want to get to I want to get to that point. So do you how do you feel uh, a late career artist as opposed to an emerging artist? What's the big difference as far as your mindset and your temperament?
I've always, well, you were talking about you go to a job 5 days a week. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
And George and I have talked about this numerous times that at the time we were doing that, George and I both taught. I enjoyed teaching a lot.
Yeah.
Um, After a point, I got tired of administration and all that, but the job itself and working with kids, I taught junior high, middle school, high school, and college.
Yeah.
And the junior highs, I taught seventh, eighth, and ninth grade. That was my favorite group to work with. They were crazy, hormonal, smelled bad.
Why
But
do we all
they were funny.
at that particular age, everybody stinks.
Oh yeah, people that hadn't been in the building would come in and go, "God, it's this
It's high school students.
career." Yeah,
Yeah.
but we did that knowing I wouldn't have the time. And George was much more disciplined about it than I could leave school and go work. I'd go home and get going tired. I mean, had a little quick nap and then get up and I might do something. But I always knew that on vacation time and in the summer, even if I was taking classes, I would be able to do what I wanted to do then.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about selling things particular. Not that I don't enjoy it, but it doesn't happen all that often because I do what pleases me. And if it's no, you should be doing this. Uh, I was asked about doing a sculpture one time with the requirement it must be red. Oh, I'm not doing a red sculpture. Simply not going to do it. I don't like those commissions. No, I don't. I don't. I won't do commissions. I will not uh, because you know you can. Noel Torrey.
Yeah.
And be. He told me one time he had done a commission and he showed me the painting. It was a large oil, uh, beautifully done of a mesquite tree.
Yeah.
And the guy had commissioned him. Here it is. And he looks and, this is paraphrasing quite a bit, but said, can you make it a little bit more gnarly? Well, okay, what does that mean? Exactly. My vision of gnarly and yours may be totally different things. And it's like, I don't want to do that. No, I want to do what pleases me.
I remember having to take commissions when when I was with Inclusion in Art, and we were doing some things as far as, in the art community and all that. It was largely unfunded. We built it so that we it would run whether we had money or not. So I'd have to take these commissions. And Skip Hill was working with me as a facilitator. We got a grant. We finally got a Kirkpatrick Foundation grant, but we were still doing these things called big boy plates to where, because we worked at the site together and we'd go to lunch, it was okay. Well, who's paying for gas and who's going to pay for the food? And we would get this plate. We would divide up the food. We would, you know, figure out who's gonna pay for what. I took commissions out of out of need. And I will say this, the one thing about a guaranteed paycheck, I know if I don't get fired, if I don't put my foot in my mouth, which I sometimes do, I'm gonna get paid. It's been a gift and a curse. Oh, yeah. Because now I'm not taking these commissions, which are, well, that's kind of magenta. That's not really the red I want or whatever. Um, it's freed me up to create, but it's also had the Netflix effect on me. Now that you have that at your disposal, and now that you can create whatever you want, you don't always create. It's you have this choice. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, and you don't do anything. Whereas when you were for that time that I was living off of art, you have to do something. You have to create. And I'm trying to get back in the mode of that same motivation, which is where I'm doing the open house and coming out for, coffee and trying to reconnect with people because I wouldn't do anything. So now I'm I'm reconnecting with my work through other artists like you, like Paul, uh, Susan, and it's so far removed about being about money, not the issue.
Right.
Yeah,
Money never, I mean, like I said, a sail along is always nice. But if I do sell something, it's great. If I don't, it's not going to change anything, really.
it took me a while to get there though. If I didn't sell, I'd be mad as a hornet. I'd be extremely. But then that's when you find out if you're an artist or if you're a creative entrepreneur. I think a creative entrepreneur can be an artist, but I don't know that a pure artist can naturally be a creative entrepreneur. You can learn things about it. Creative entrepreneur for me, when you're creative and you're an entrepreneur, there's commerce involved. If there's no commerce involved, then you're not doing it.
Or
Whereas with an artist, you're doing it and you're angry and you're mad at yourself because you're like, I keep doing this even though I'm not making money because I have to. I told a woman one time, and I put it on a Life is Art, these little snippets. It was trying to explain what being an artist was like. And I told this person to do this. I said, hold your breath as long as you can. And she holds her breath and then she's like, okay, what are you doing? And I said, breathe. I said, when I can't create or I'm closed in and I don't have an opportunity to create, it feels exactly like that. Big difference between being a business
something's
person.
not right.
Something's not right. But even having that option makes things right.
Sure.
You know, a creative day is walking in the studio and then walking out because I know there's a studio to walk into. So,
We did that little question and answer thing the other day, Saturday. And one of my questions, it was to Lawrence and Brian. Do you ever have a block
yeah,
about what you want to do? What do you do to get over it?
yeah,
And Lawrence, he never had that bad. Brian explained a few things that were pretty interesting that involved family, just life in
yeah,
general that, kind of interferes sometimes. And I used to go months and months and months working a lot,
yeah,
getting a lot of work done. Then all of a sudden it was like hit a wall. And when I used to get really anxious about that,
yeah,
again, will I ever have a decent idea again? And within the last probably 10 years, it's like there's nothing rolling through here right now. Don't worry about it. It'll eventually, yeah, something will come along and I'll do other things for maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe what one spell in about 6 months. And kept thinking, yeah, you need to be working, but that's what you want to do. So as soon as I'm not gonna worry about it, then the thoughts started coming back up. So
How do you stay fresh as far as, wanting to create? Every artist that I know, they burn out, and there's even some artists that, I mean, they still have the compulsion, but they never created again. What's pushing you forward to make you wanna keep creating at the level that you've been making work?
um also, somewhere along that sitting and thinking
Yeah.
process going on, I determined that I wasn't really happy unless I was working. That I had to be doing something, you know, gluing something together, let the paints out. I had to be doing the actual physical thing of creating where I wasn't happy.
I know Paul creates, and I used to kinda tease it and say, "Can't you just do a simple painting that's easy to move? Can't you just," but that's just not who he is. He'll make a painting or a structure that's 100 pounds, and he's like, "I'll worry about how to hang it later." And I think that makes him a good artist. I think that makes some of the best artists is when they worry about the technicals of how am I gonna get this over here? How am I gonna get this through the door?
Well, I will say that in the last 10 years, the dimensions of the pieces that I've been working on has been reduced.
Yeah.
Weight, size, all that, simply because I don't have the physical strength I was doing to move
Yeah.
things. So it's more practical than anything else.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
My space is too small to make the big sweeping paintings.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Can't do it.
just remove, and then, like I said, I know it's still just tons of stuff. So there's this storage issue after a while. Yeah, too much stuff.
I hate that I missed the gallery talk. I was up in Norvit. We had a film screening, uh, and I wanted to be here for it. It seems like that's the only thing I hate with having a job and having, like, commitments. You can't be in 2 places at
Oh yeah,
once.
and I was talking with someone not too long ago about as recent as 10 or 15 years ago. Yeah, if there was an art activity opening or something twice a month, it's like, whoa, got things to do. And now I think if you wanted, you could find something every day.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, it was first Friday, and then there was a second Friday. Every single Friday is occupied by an opening by a district, whether it's Plaza,
yeah,
uh, Midtown, or
yeah, essentially,
yeah.
yeah, there's something on art. So you can only do a certain amount of things.
I think it's good that we're growing, but it's also kinda it doesn't feel like Cheers anymore, where everybody knows your name and you're always glad they came.
Yeah, and so yeah, we're a growing like crazy community.
Yeah.
I'm part of it. I think it's really wonderful. And part, yeah, not so much.
Well, you're out. I'm assuming that you're out more than I am. I when things are happening, Thursday's completely off limits. I can't show up for Thursday. If they have an event for Friday, sometimes I can.
Mhm.
Saturday's about as good as it gets, but with so much happening and the way that the place is growing, you're having to find new choice days. So now we're getting into the Wednesdays, we're
Yeah.
getting into the Thursdays, and they're just days that I'm not here. Sunday, same thing. First day of the work week for me. So I'm Sunday through Thursday. And what is it like out there now? Like as far as the young faces, do you notice?
Um, I'm more of an observer
Yeah.
than anything else in the larger groups. I like to be back over here just watching and I think it's interesting and find it interesting and annoying sometimes with a lot of the younger people. It's like I have to go, so I'll be seen, and then I can see who else is there. And somebody walks in the board in mid conversation, and they just spread over like I need to talk to that person.
Yeah. And it's like, "You're rude, really."
Finish the conversation, or at least go, hey, I need to talk to this person. It's more about seeing and being seen and all of that than it is of having a conversation with somebody.
Yeah. I think a lot of legacy is lost as far as I don't know that they're really interested in what we did because it has social media is about the show.
No.
And it's kind of reflecting it's not just young people, it's just life in general. It's the headline versus the main idea over an activity or whatever. And I saw this article about there was a young tech guy that was doing well for himself. And he was talking about why this younger generation, even the ones that have disposable income, why they don't gravitate to traditional art the way that they used to. Well, they're not taught to. And the way that they even collect is different. Now, your cell phone is your art gallery. And you have these gigantic frames that are, you know, actually they're big screen TVs, but they're flat. They're really flat. And they change out their art with the remote control of their phone. So I don't think that I think two things are happening. We're not handing down that to them. And their lives are much more complex than our lives were.
Yeah.
So luxury in this rat race, because they view, a lot of them view art as luxury, status, and all that. And many of them are changing. They're not interested in luxury except their entertainment.
Right. Right.
You know, TVs are cheap, houses are expensive. So the whole thing has kind of changed. Is there a way to steer them back to the value of um of art? And I asked that because Armand, I got to talk to Armand, who was
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
He made a really interesting point. He said, "Can you dig up?" Basically, I'm paraphrasing him. Archaeologists can an archaeologist dig up a JPEG? Can an archaeologist dig up an NFT? That's and it made perfect sense. It's kind of a record of the culture you were either living in, the culture that was before you. Um, it's, this the funny thing about this, it will when I do my thing with it. And again, I'm a hypocrite because I always talk about my fear. This is like the third video I mentioned it in. My fear of what AI is going to do, not just in art, but I'm going to use AI to clean it up. So it's a tool. It's a tool. It's a tool. I'll never let it create for me.
Right.
Yeah, I can't do that. But yeah, I wonder about that next generation because we had an interest. My generation coming up, when I saw Sue doing her thing, I wanted to follow in those. Maybe I did it differently, but there was still a value for art.
Isn't part of that something that just comes with age? With you kind of grow into it.
I thought it was, but there are young people that tell me that they're artists, and I'm not saying that you have to have a show to be an artist. You're an artist, but the culture of that has some value. Galleries, they have value. Uh, they're these places that are dedicated. It's not just window dressing, but a lot of them do anime and they share it online, and they end up becoming successful not because of art sales. They become successful because of their internet following.
Right.
And now artists are being seen by galleries, and the value of an artist is becoming how many followers do you have? It's like the monetization of art is becoming so overwhelming. The monetization of any and everything. The personality is more important than the artist. and we're buying into it, especially the young ones.
Will it last?
That I don't know, but we are it's a generation that's growing up on, everything being a study of planned obsolescence. This generation does not have the luxury of thinking about or believing in forever, which sucks because I always thought of, yeah, and we're not going to live forever, but there were some things in my life, socially, culturally, that were forever. They don't have that, and we keep pulling. Not us, we're just two artists. We're not doing anything, but it's kind of pulling the rug from up under them. They spend more time learning about social media than whatever business or artistic, endeavor that they want to pursue. I sit there learning, okay, well, why am I not getting reach on this? It's a 45-minute video explaining all the steps I have to go through to increase my reach. If I followed that route, I would spend more time being a social media troubleshooter than I would making art.
Um, yeah, I've had younger people go, how, uh, what would you suggest? And my main suggestion is put the phone down, turn off everything, go to the studio and work, and then work more the next day and the next day. And don't worry about who's going to see you at Friday night's opening or what you're going to wear what you wore in the studio. Nobody really cares. Uh, and focus on the art part.
What's the
That's going to make you better.
what's their motivation to focus on that, especially since we've driven everything is either transactional as far as their existence or monetary as far as their existence? Like, how do we get them to, or is it for us to say? Is it for us to say, or do we just watch what this is going to evolve into?
I think we step back and watch
Yeah.
and see how that individual person might approach these things. Make your choices or your priorities. Do you really want to be a really good artist? Yeah. Or do you want to be somebody that's maybe flash in the pan is not
Yeah.
the best term, but it's up, this hot new artist is coming to town, or 6 months later, everybody's going, what's that?
Yeah.
You know,
Have you ever fallen into the monetary trap?
uh, I never did.
That's unique.
It's like I said, I have a job, I've got income, um, never had a lot of sales. Marianne Duran at Tulsa, we chatted all the time about my work and about sales. And she said, I don't sell a lot of your work, but there are sales that are consistent.
Yeah.
Every so often, somebody will come in and pick up something. We're taking new things to her tomorrow. But she said, it is. They're very consistent. There may be a gap between.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's it's nice to have a sale, buy new paint or supplies or whatever, but it's not going to change my life one way or another. It's a nice pat on the back to think that somebody, purchased it.
Yeah. Well, it almost made me a curmudgeon, just kind of angry. I remember I was working a job and a friend of mine said, "Man, you were in the public for community activism and all these things that you've done." He said, "What is it like to make it?" Keep in mind, we both had company shirts on with the little logo, and I turned around and I looked at him. I said, "What is it like to make it? What does it look like?" I said, "You're looking at it." And I was kinda angry because I was like, "This is what it is with all the notoriety and all this, and, you get your moment in the sun to be an it kid." I said, "Well, this is what it is. It just led up to me being employed here with you." That was probably the wrong way to look at it, but at that time, I I assumed my value was based off of my inability to become a full-time artist at that particular time, and that's what I was conveying to him. So I was giving him something like, "Yeah, maybe I might wanna rethink this whole thing." But here we are talking about why we love art, not why we love money.
Right. Money's nice.
It is.
I can't
So you
say
can do more
it's not.
art.
Yeah, exactly. You can buy more or buy supplies where you can do more. Yeah. It's uh,
I'm painting on things that people would find absolutely inexcusable. Like I'm painting on on things that are the backings to the paintings
mhm.
because they're masonite.
Yeah.
I'm pulling those out. I have to create. If I can't afford canvas this week, then I'm painting on something. I don't know, paper bag.
Did Picasso paint on cardboard?
He painted on
So,
board.
yeah. So hey, yeah. So if it works, why not?
I kind of feel like that. I'm not the craftsman. Sometimes it's just go for broke and do whatever.
But if you don't try it, what? No guts, no glory.
Well, it looks
It
good.
may be the most wonderful thing you've ever done. It's painted on the.
As long as you don't look at the back of it. I gotta find a quick I've got to find a way to make the back of it pretty.
That's a dilemma I have right now. Some things I'm working on. There, I think there's 9 or 10 paintings now, from small to not huge, 30 by 36, and they're wood built up on top of a panel, and then canvas stretched, so it's just a little bit 3 dimensional.
Yeah.
Really minimal color, minimal contrast, and I'm after a couple of months now, I think I like them, but the backs look like hell.
I
I'm trying to figure out a way, I can cover that up. It will look better because it's like big globs of
yeah.
fabric in the corners.
I think I'm gonna permanently adhere cardboard in the back so nobody can see the
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I think I'm going to use masonite and just
yeah.
tack it on. It'll cover up a multitude of the.
I've used it before. I've had some backings cut out and they look really good. Yeah, they're very clean.
Yeah, that's what I want because it. It's the whole package.
Yeah.
Is what it has to be a certain way.
Yeah.
That's more in the kind of silly
So
control issues.
going forward, you're still doing shows. You're still doing you're still just creating. Do you have like one swan song project? I've got one swan song project that I just got done. I wanted to make a film, good or bad, whether people think it is, it exists. What is your one swan song project, or have you even gotten there? You're still just moving.
I'm never even thought about that.
No.
It's just whatever pops up next. Yeah, I don't have a clue.
That was on my creative bucket list. And judging by the way that you work, I don't know that you should have one because you're rolling. You're rolling as far as your creativity.
I've been told I'm relatively prolific, although I don't see myself as being particularly prolific.
Trust me, you're prolific. You're prolific.
So it's just that's the end result. But the work's the end result of me thinking about this, that, and another, and then giving it a shot, see what happens. So maybe it is being prolific. I don't know. Yeah, and the work's kind of all over the place, but like the guy I was telling you about that's doing the same thing now he was doing in 1970.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Yeah, I couldn't. I would quit if I had to do that. So, yeah, no more. Thank you.
Well, people need to witness your creativity. Um, you have a website.
No,
You don't?
no.
Oh,
I have been fussed at. Oh, what's your Instagram? Don't have Instagram. What about Facebook? Don't have Facebook. All of that is just another distraction. I'm easily distracted anyway. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I have zero tolerance when I turn my computer on and something doesn't work.
yeah.
Um, initial response is to cuss. Uh, and then I walk off, and then the hour I'll come back an hour. Okay, I think I could figure this out. Most of the things I could figure out,
Yeah.
but it's you know, the last year I taught, I had this little girl, and I still remember her name, Alexis. Cute little girl. Her dad was in the military, and they were uh, big on. She was big on horses. She loved her horses. And anyway, she walked up to my desk, and I had just gotten an email from the office, and they wanted such and such. So I'm sitting at my desk. I said, Lexus, just 1 minute. I got to shoot this back to the office. And I'm doing with my two finger thing.
Yeah.
And she's seventh floor. She goes, is that the best you can do? Yes, yes, ma'am. And I just got a note from your mother that said, you need to leave me alone. Oh, I mean, they know so much more about than I could ever possibly grasp. And it's not fun. I know
Yeah.
that people that are technically involved are just over it. That's just, oh God, it's a pain in the ass. I don't want to do it. I could take a class and learn how to do things.
But then, once again, it goes back to what we were saying. You're going to spend 45 minutes
Yeah.
doing all that. So let me ask you this and now we're promoting get out and go see the work as opposed to click a button and see the work. Um, Best places. You have 1515 Lincoln Gallery. What is the best way to contact you about your work? Because I want to put links in so that people can find you to.
I leave all of that stuff up to the gallery. So 1515, M.A. Duran in Tulsa, JRB.
Well, here's what I'll do. I'm gonna find all the links and I will provide them in the description so people can find you. Part of me is like, that's kind of the way that it should be. The artist should be left to do what the artist does
Right, right.
in a perfect world.
Whatever that is. Yeah, like I said, I don't enjoy doing any of that stuff. So I just leave it up to the galleries to do it. And I'm content with that.
It's good when you can just walk away and stuff is getting done.
Look, I have, excuse me, spoken to people before who, and we just were talking about
Yeah.
social media. So how much time they spend on their social media and this, that, and
It's like 60% of the time they're on.
a lot, yeah, too much. And, anymore, well, I'm old enough to remember, we might remember when a new exhibit's coming out and you would get a postcard,
Oh yeah.
and all of a sudden email came along. It's like, I got an email today inviting me to this exhibit. So postcards went away. Now we're deleting the hell out of emails.
Oh yeah.
And if you get a card, it's like, oh, let's spend some time and money to send this. And there's something concrete. It's like we were talking about, I own this, or I turn my TV on. Do you really? It comes and goes. Where the concrete thing, thank you.
I kept them on by a fort.
Oh yeah, that I don't know.
I kept a lot of stuff. Or whether it was an opening of a particular show. I kept stuff in a box, postcards. Today, there's nothing to be kept.
Well, I think some of the places are getting back to that though, because it's the new thing again. Everything's cyclical.
Oh yeah.
So it'll be back if you want to spend the time to send a card. Yeah, that's got I'm gonna put this where I won't lose it.
Yeah.
And not have to turn on the device to find it. Yeah. Because everything's cyclical, and it'll it always levels out and kind of rolls back to where it once was.
Well, I'm waiting. Oh, I'm waiting on that to happen. I really need that to happen. I think the technology is getting away from allowing us to live. We're just participating in numbers, right? Posts. We're not truly existing.
Yeah, hopefully things respond, and I'm trying to remain optimistic about everything. It's not easy to do, but
Oh, I get labeled as a doomsayer.
well,
My sister gets mad at me when she said, "Can you predict anything good? Every time you try to predict something, it happens and it's horrendous. Can you predict anything good?" I'm like, "Well, I don't make the predictions. I don't want it to happen, man." So yeah, she kind of views me as a doomsayer. I'm trying not to. I keep my mouth shut a lot now.
I'm trying to be optimistic about you know the condition of the country and all that, and I'm a big fan of Gandhi. And there's a quote, and I can't remember it exactly, but it's yeah, talks about tyrants and murderers, and they become powerful, and they look like they're invincible, but in the end, they always lose. They always fall. And then the end of the quote is something like "Remember always." And I thought, "Oh, it's true."
I think when the people figure out that their sheer numbers can change the way that the country is governed, we have so much power, but we are perception is everything. Our perception is that we don't. If we all collectively did something for a very short duration of time because we don't understand being uncomfortable in this country. Oh, the government doesn't understand
Discomfort, please. We can't do that.
if we were to do that, then things would change. And I think we have to kind of recalibrate to looking at the power that we have and what's at our disposal. A lot of stuff could have been rectified just by not participating for the span of a month in certain things.
Sure. Well, I contend this whole shutdown right now. If the air traffic controllers would go, no pay, no work, see ya.
Yeah.
Close down flights all across the country in 2 days,
Yeah.
something would have changed drastically. That's all it would have taken.
And I don't think we know that, but
Well,
it's kind of
they should figure it out.
it's the job of propaganda to keep us from knowing what we probably need to know. Hopefully it'll end.
A lot of people, I don't think, want to spend the time to research things just a little bit.
Well, we're on a headline now. We're
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's all they see. I don't know what's gonna happen. There's an awful lot of, uninformed or ill-informed people out here.
well, and when if an ideology becomes a religion, religion, and I'm not speaking bad about people who do believe in a religion, but when it becomes a religion, faith is not based on facts.
But
So there's no room. The one thing that I never want to do is believe something so much or believe in something so much that I don't have any room for anything else. And I don't like getting into, well, Nate, are you this or you that or you, but I'm pro open. Pro open and I'm pro human. So I like the idea of being able to admit that I'm wrong about something and I don't feel ashamed of it. I think it's a really good thing when a person can admit that they're wrong.
sure,
There's room for growth. We're losing that, we're losing the whole idea. Being wrong is like the worst thing that could happen. I see it in academia, I see it socially, I see it politically, culturally, and it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be right,
it's human to be wrong occasionally. Oh, yeah, part of the deal.
but we don't like it. We treat it like football, it's and no disrespect, I'm gonna take a jab. And the Oklahoma State football team, if your team is bad at that. It's okay to love your team, but it's not okay to think that they're gonna be playing for a national championship when they're 1 win and 12 losses. So, we just have to look at nuance, I think,
Oh, yeah, always so.
so Well, John, I'm gonna let you eat your salad.
Okay. I've got
And
I've got to work here in a little bit. Yeah, we're good.
you good?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have to be there till 1.
Well, it would be what is the show in Tulsa?
Oh, it's not a show. It's just part of a group show.
Oh, you're hanging work for a
Yeah.
group show. What is that show? Because Saturday I'm in Tulsa.
It's not until the 14th.
Okay.
Okay, part to the 14th.
November.
Yes.
Okay. Then I may
Well, yeah.
well then I may be able to see it. I'm up there the 15th through the 16th.
So if it's on here, pull out my trusty device. All right. Try not to cuss.
I swear I want to play hooky from work today.
It's kind of a nice day. It is greasy, but I mean, I can't find it. It's later this month. Okay. It's from the when that show opens. It's just gallery artist.
How many pieces do you have in it?
I'm taking about 10 pieces.
No.
We discussed, which one she wanted. Well, she wasn't sure. And I said, look, they're small. Just put them all in the back of the vehicle. You can just pick out which ones you want, keep them all or whatever.
Well, I will do that. I will add the link for that show so that if a couple of the city folks get out there, they can see that and try to get familiar with your work. Most people who know, they already know.
Yeah. It's a continuation of that series that I was looking at, the figurative pieces.
I love those pieces.
It's so fun to do. It is just like, I don't know, why do we think of what we think of?
I don't know why.
Then one day.
Well, John, I'm going to let you enjoy your salad and get on with your day. And am looking forward. I'm hoping in Tulsa I get to see the work.
Yeah.
And
It's I think she has this one and then one more before Christmas. I'm not sure. A holiday show.
we definitely have to do this again. I had an idea. Paul goes to Red Cup, for instance, some of I think Paul Clint. I had this idea of people recording interesting conversations and submitting conversations that were extremely interesting. Because it is the art of conversation. It's not the art of just talking about art. It's just the art of conversation. And kind of promoting this idea of face-to-face communication again.
Strange concept there.
It is.
Could be.
Is this in this day and age, who would have thought that that would even be strange? You know, the cafe sit down and meeting was a mainstay.
Yeah, it amazes me still. I usually go out at my routine was all the time I talk. I left the house, went to this little coffee shop,
Yeah.
met a few other people, they had coffee, then off we went to work. And it was good because it got me up, got me moving, of course. And I've continued that. So usually, 5 days a week, I go somewhere for coffee.
Yeah.
And the number of people I'll see, sitting across the table from each other, and they're both texting.
I've seen people walking. I go to OU, and I see the kids walking, and you're thinking, okay, they're friends texting each other, and then they'll laugh and look at each other.
Yeah.
They're right there.
Just talk to me. Just talk to them. Yeah, doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, my daughter's getting the same way. Her and her best friend, they text and they'll giggle.
Hmm.
Yeah, like it's all right to tell a joke out in public. It's okay to, but that's the new culture. I guess we better play catch up or
I don't know. I'm too old to catch up on that.
well, John, let's do this again.
Sure.
And I will provide links to the work of the great John Wolfe. It's been a pleasure talking with him. I'm glad we finally got to settle in and enjoy a moment together to talk. And if you want to know more about John Wolfe's work, I will be sure to provide those links. And this is your guy, the brave artist, Nathan Lee. Share, like, and subscribe, and let other like-minded or interested people know about this small but growing channel. Until the next time, everybody, take care.